Let's start with your present post, where you are the governor of Kunar province. If you tell us what is the real situations there. I mean, there is a presence of the American troops. There are also an operations being done by the Taliban. There is you're bordering the tribal area of Pakistan. Can you tell us what is the real situation there? I mean, the viewers would like to know what is the real things in your province.
I think the situation of Kunar province is not very bad. Is a good situation in this moment because of having all our school in running situation. We have all our districts in our hand, where the roads are open. But you know, we have 240 kilometer border with the Durand line, and for the other side, and the enemy always hit us from the other side. Therefore, it is difficult to say our situation is good. Sometime we got attacked from the other side. Mean the external interference is too much in my province.
You talked of the militants coming from the other side of the border, and there are confirmations from Islamabad government saying that by their operations in the tribal belts, whether in South Waziristan, in Bajor, in Khuram, in Khaybar, there are several operations. They have relatively controlled the movement of Taliban on the other side. But meanwhile, they also put the blame on Kabul that they are not able to control their side of the border. How do you respond to that?
Well, you know that they don't have much power on the tribal area. The tribal area in the other side of the Durand line is the tribes who are living here and there. Difficult for us to stop this coming and going between these two countries. Therefore, and we are not in a situation to say we may interfere in their area. But the problem is always for Afghanistan is from outside. And the Taliban, when they make some operation, they put more pressure on our side, because many people, they just jump to the other side of the border. This means they come to Kunar province and they make problem for us. And our success is the only thing. We have very good connection with the tribal elder and the people, because very difficult for us to control the border by our police only. We have enough police. We have ABP, Afghan Border Police, and there is a coalition forces. Actually, their job is also to control the border. Then difficult for the militant to come in our area. But the problem is, if they leave their gun, they will come, because it's the same people. This is the big challenge for us today for our security.
To some extent, I might agree with you, but Islamabad also they emphasize that they have proposed several mechanisms to control the borders, and one of the mechanisms which is important that was proposed by the Pakistani army and the government of Pakistan to the other sides, where in Kabul here, the government, that is the fencing the border. But the response was not positive from your government. Why do you refuse the fencing of the border, though they think that if the fencing has been done on the borders, it would control relatively the movement between the two countries?
You know, first of all, the Afghans are not agree with this Durand line. That is one thing. The second thing, the tribes are living in the both side of the border, or the same tribe, and they have their relative here and there, and they have very good connection between them, and they are like a same family. His brother is living in this side and the other one is living in the other side. how to fencing this border and to keep these tribe people, because they have the right to live in that area and they have the right to go and come. And we have for them about 6 doors to come into Afghanistan and to go there to the tribal area, because we don't want to make any big wall between the tribal people in the Afghan border. But of course, we need the international community to control, to support us, to support our police for controlling the border, because our power is not that much. Therefore, still we need the support of international community in this regard. And the control of the border is just because of the enemy, the outsider, and we have no problem among our Afghan brothers. Our problem is the other people, and the other people easily come from this side. And actually our problem is in Kunar, but the Afghan problem in general is not only from the other side of the Durand line. The other neighbor is always interfere in Afghanistan. We are very much victimized of external interference in Afghanistan. The Afghan, they are peace, love people. They don't make any problem for any neighbor. But if you see the story of the Afghanistan, always the external people come to occupied Afghanistan. Then the Afghan will stand against them and keep their country.
If you're talking of the occupations and interference from different regional powers and international powers in your country, Afghanistan has lived a very difficult 30 years between civil wars and occupations, and now there are troops in your country. The government, I think, they legitimize the existence of the troops. How do you see? Do you think that the troops will leave very soon, as the Obama administration promised in 2011? And do you think after the departure of these troops, what would be the scenario in Afghanistan?
You know, first of all, they're coming to Afghanistan. We should not think this as an occupation. This is actually the decision of the international community to support Afghanistan because of 30-year war in Afghanistan. And I hope they can keep their commitment to stay until we need them. And I'm sure they will leave one day, but this should be after the agreement of the Afghan government, because they promised to give us support for having good military, training our police, training our national army, equip our national army and police, and all these things. If they complete all these support and they fulfill their commitment, then of course the Afghan will like them to leave. And we believe on that, because many times we have meeting, we have talking with them, and they're really eager to leave Afghanistan, but they also like to support Afghanistan.
Do you think they want to leave because they could not fulfill their missions in Afghanistan, they had a failure? Or do you think that they are leaving because they have fulfilled their objectives here and they would deliver all the situations to the Afghans?
You know, the problem is actually not only for the Afghans, the problem is for themselves too. If they want to leave, first of all, without the agreement of the Afghan people and the government, this means they are failed. If they are failed, they have more problem than us. Because you know, when the international community decide to support Afghanistan, when they got attacked, after the 11th September, everything happens in Afghanistan for support Afghanistan. Yes. Otherwise, the Taliban was here before. You know, therefore they should support their people also. Afghanistan and their own people in their own country. Otherwise, the problem is international problem, is not a national Afghan problem. Because the fighters in Afghanistan, the enemies or the people who fight against us, they are not Afghan. Many of them from outside. The Al-Qaeda network is not formed in Afghanistan. That network is from somewhere else, you know. Therefore, they want to support their people also in Afghanistan, the Afghan people.
You talked of Al-Qaeda organizations and their existence in the region. Some reports says that they are in Afghanistan, some reports says they are in the tribal belt of Pakistan. In your opinion, where are they?
You know, this all 46 country is in Afghanistan. If they don't know, no, for our Afghan, for these limited resources we have, it's difficult for us to say. The area we have control, there is no, these people not in my area, as I know that. But maybe because with all these information around the world, many people working, many countries living here with very much possibilities. But if they don't know, it's difficult for us to know.
You're here in Kabul, and I am here in Kabul. We are covering, you came here to participate in the Peace Jirga. I came to cover. What is the main agenda, and do you think that the Peace Jirga would be successful? The government are trying to bring different peoples and factions from the Afghan people, with the tribals and different people, to the Peace Jirga to come with a mechanism to finish the crisis that's been in Afghanistan for a long time. What do you hope?
You know, the main objective for the Jirga, try to find the way to move forward and to invite that unhappy Afghan brother around the country. And this is, the Jirgas is our traditional system in very high expectation from the Jirgas, because the Jirga decision is always acceptable. But this Jirga is main or big dialogue among whole Afghans. There is parliamentarian, that is the provincial shuras, there is the elders, ulama, many people from the civil society and others. Therefore, we really hope for a good decision to talk with the unhappy brothers around Afghanistan and to invite them to come for their normal life.
You talked of setting up the Jirga to satisfy the unhappy brothers, maybe Taliban. But other than Taliban, Dr. Abdullah also, he posed his unsatisfactory or unhappiness with the Peace Jirga, and he has, according to my information, that he's boycotting the Jirga. In your opinion, why such a person is boycotting is an important figure?
No, how he knows that the Jirga is not successful? You know, their participation this is not a politic Jirga. The politician can decide about the successful or unsuccessful. This is traditional system in Afghanistan, and no one can say in advance the Jirga is successful or not. You know, till now nobody don't know about it and should not say something like this in advance, because if there is no Jirga, what way we can use? Shall we use fighting? More fighting? Peace doesn't come with fighting, or keeping peace is not possible with a gun. The only way in Afghanistan, since from the beginning, if you go through the story of Afghanistan, big things is always, big problems solved by the Jirga. Locally in our provinces, we always refer cases to the elders first, to solve the problems by the Jirgas, through the Jirgas. This is very good way in Afghan culture to solve the problem like this. But if the case is politic, okay, maybe, you know, there is opposition, there is government, and opposition is always say something. But here the Jirga is another thing. This is not a politic thing. And this is the people of Afghanistan. They can decide, and this will certainly acceptable by all Afghan. And this jirga is for dialogue. How we can say dialogue is not successful? In dialogue, we want to share information from whole Afghanistan, all provinces. Elders are sitting together and talking about how we can move forward to reconcile or to invite our people, our brothers, to come to the country and have your normal life.
Is there any delegations from Taliban will participate in the jirga?
You know, maybe officially not, but the Afghan Taliban is always around. We know this. And many messages from the jirga goes to them. And some of the Taliban and Hizb Islami are attend the jirga because they come under the name of the elder from the provinces. If they are not under the name of Hizb Islami or the Taliban, they are at least under the name of the tribal elder or the maliks or the shura members and like this, ulama. But of course there is pro-Taliban people inside, and they can pass the message, they can talk with the Taliban, and therefore we are very hopeful.
Thank you very much for this participation, for the information. Thank you. Thank you.